Fight Mike here, back with another video. We're just going to be going through the UFC Apex card that just occurred then, Blanchfield versus Barber or Gamrot versus Klein. Starting off with Rayan dos Santos versus Alice Adeline. This was somewhat of a fun fight. I thought that this wasn't going to be very good. I know I somewhat trashed it in the predictions video that I made, but it was fun. They both traded a lot of shots. They were running forward, chin first, eyes closed. Pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Dos Santos turned out not to be as gritty as Ardeline, and I saw that she was wincing to a lot of the shots, which probably won Ardeline some of the rounds. Um, During the first round, Alice looked better on the feet. She looked more clean. She had a physicality advantage on her very easily, and much the same in the second. And during the second and third round, the first was quite scrappy and not very technical, but the second and third, they were both countering a lot more and looking a bit better. I had a 2-0 for Alice Ardeline in the third. And then during the fight, the straight right hand for Rayan dos Santos was hitting a lot, and I think if she had kept throwing that, especially early in the fight, she probably could have had a bit better results. But Ardeline overall did a good job defending Rayan dos Santos' shot, so it was actually quite a fun fight. Um, Also for Alice Adeline, we saw her get taken down. She had a very good get up ability in this one. And she's actually quite doing quite well in her last few fights. So looking forward for what she has in the future. We got Balajiocki versus Michael as well. As well was coming into the fight as a late replacement for someone else. I can't remember their name. But this was a really, really fun fight. I loved this one. I think that this was like 140 strikes each fighter throughout the fight, which is massive. As well, during the first round, I thought looked the cleaner fighter. He was really sharp. Oki, I thought in the first he looked a little bit skittish. I saw a lot of people glazing his performance in round one, but I thought his boxing didn't look as good as usual. Um, and they were both throwing shots, like trying to kill each other, which was really, really, really fun to watch. I also think as well probably hurt Oki halfway through the first round. I think it was like a right hand that seemed to hurt Oki. It was a really nice right hand. Um, Oki, I also think throughout the first like round and a half, he was a lot more open in the pocket, and he was caught off balance quite a few times and throwing off balance. He seemed a little bit nervous for this fight, maybe because he was such a heavy favorite, not too sure. But then within like the last part of the second round and coming on to the third round, Oki started piecing him up a little bit more. We saw as well getting a bit more tired. His movements were a lot more laboured, and Oki sort of was just getting him a little bit better. And the straight left, because he's southpaw for as well, literally never missed. Oki doesn't really leave his lead hand too high up, so he's able to get hit with a lot of those shots. But I had a 2-1 in the fight. It was a very even striking battle. If Aswell could have done a little bit more, he probably could have got that one, but it was a good fight, and Aswell definitely has a good chin. You could see Oki was putting a lot into those shots, and he was able to negate that and stay alive throughout the fight. Um, yeah, that was an amazing fight. But moving on, we've got Kurt Halabar versus Jordan Levitt. This was pretty good. It went somewhat what I thought it would. I thought it would be a decision win for Levitt, where he would sort of just be able to keep him on the ground for a while. But he instantly gets the takedown and then goes for and just holds the body lock, sort of like throwing around Halabar for a bit. He also threw Halabar head first into the ground, which was really funny. And he goes for some sort of front throw and then transitions straight to an anaconda and brutally slept Kurt Halabar, and it was such a good submission. I think it was probably 1 minute 20 into the first round, and the submission was so quickly latched up by Jordan Levitt. He looked a lot more sharp in this fight. I think he knew his best way of winning was on the ground, so he just took it straight there with Halabar. And I think he had a great performance and a great showing for himself. I won't spend too long on that fight because it was only 1 minute 20. Jafel Filho versus Alan Nascimento. I thought I had somewhat of a good read on this one, but it went a little bit differently to how I thought it. I had Phil Ho by decision. Um, I feel like Phil Ho, if he had stuck on his feet for a little bit more and actually done a little bit more effective striking in the clinch and all of those sorts of positions, he could have got this. But he was sort of trying to rush his positions a little bit too much. In the first, Phil Ho was really good at forcing the positions and getting what he wanted. But then he didn't really get much ground and pound. He couldn't really hurt Nascimento too much. He did get a really tight mounted guillotine at the end of that first, but it sort of just left him a little bit tired from holding down Nascimento for that whole time. So Nascimento's second round comes out. The other thing with Nascimento, sorry, I'll say, is that he was not really breaking the grip on the body lock as well of Jafel Filho, and this was showing in the second round as well. I believe Filho was able to get him down and then also just hold him against the fence with that body lock. Um, but then he goes for, I think he was on the, yeah, he was on the top of him and he goes for some sort of armbar, I think, and then just slipped off. And then Nascimento was able to spend the rest of the round on top. Um, and it was really a bad moment for Jafel Filho there, because had he secured another minute or two of that round, he would have won that. And it really did mess up his round for him there. But then going on to round three, he does the exact same thing where he's winning the round, he's on top, and then he just slips off on top. And then Nascimento, he's very heavy on top. He's a lot more stable when he's on top than Filho. He doesn't go for as many crazy positions. He doesn't advance as much. He just wants to be heavy and wear you out. And that style of grappling was able to nullify whatever Jafel Filho was trying to do. I also thought that Filho was going to be able to do more off his back if he did get taken down. I thought he was going to be able to do more subs off his back, more sweeps. But he just didn't show enough urgency from the bottom position. He was almost letting Nascimento control him, sort of just playing the jiu-jitsu game, going for his elbows off the bottom, and he just couldn't get up in time and wasn't able to win that decision. But it was a close fight, not as fun as we thought, but it was all right. Moving on though, we've got Zachary Reese versus Dusko Todorovic. I keep messing up that name, Todorovic. Todorovic actually looked a lot better than his last fights. I thought that this was probably the most improved version of Todorovic. He had a really nice guillotine attempt for the first 2 minutes of the fight, and he was really scrambling well with that guillotine intact. It looked like Zachary Reese also took a lot of effort trying to not get guillotined there. I also think Dusko looked a little bit faster than usual. Round two, though, was basically just Reese body kicking and being able to just tit for tat outstrike Dusko. I don't think he looked very fast. I think he actually looked slower than he used to, but that could have been from the grappling in that first round. But Dusko, I will say, did look a little bit faster, but I think he was just a little bit too ploddy to get Reese. I thought that this was going to be a quick finish for Reese. I didn't think that Todorovic was going to have that much success. Um, and it's somewhat not a good look for Reese that he did have this much success, because you could see when he did step through and land in the first round, and even when he was just a little bit more fresh and landing, he was able to hurt Todorovic, but he just wasn't able to get him out of there. Third round was somewhat close-ish, but Reese definitely edged it, but it was very sloppy. I think all of the clinch work that Dusko was doing really helped him, and it kept it a sloppy fight, which I do think Dusko, that was his best chance of winning in that sort of sloppy fight. But moving forward for these two, I don't think that they're going to do too well in the middleweight division. I'm guessing if they don't get dealt a really easy fight, they'll both get finished in their next fight. I don't think either of them look like they're getting leaps and bounds better. But it was an alright fight. It was a bit too sloppy, though. Moving on, we have this was Ketlin Vieira versus Macy Chasson. This was not fun. I didn't enjoy this fight. I had a feeling this wasn't going to be fun. And when I saw them walking out, I actually didn't think that my prediction was right. And it obviously wasn't. Chasson looked really iffy at the start of the fight. She looked really nervous when she was striking. I didn't expect her to be that timid on the feet either. And Ketlin also instantly looked more powerful and imposing of a figure. And all of her shots seemed to have much more of an effect than Macy's did. I barely think Macy landed within that first part of the fight. It looked like Ketlin was getting the better of all of the boxing exchanges, and her counters looked sweet on Chasson, who seemed like she was rushing her boxing. I definitely underestimated Ketlin Vieira. I thought that she would have the reason that she has low output was just because she wasn't that good at striking, but I realized that she's able to have that low output because she's imposing, she has good power, and she often catches you in the middle of your combinations, not making you want to come forward. So I thought that she was always just this low output person that's not very good on the feet, and I thought Macing was going to be able to style on her, but she's actually got really good output, not output, really good counters, and she's really good at getting her boxing going throughout the rounds. Round two starts though, and Chasson pushes for a takedown. Looks somewhat good for like 10 seconds. Then Vieira threw her down head first, and then Chasson gets up. They've got a whizzer, and then Chasson pulls herself onto bottom, which is really, really embarrassing to watch for my pick. Um, she spent the rest of the round on bottom. She barely tried to get up. She was striking from bottom. It was probably like one get up attempt every minute or so. And then the start of round three, you'd think she'd have a different sort of attempt to the round, and she does the exact same thing. Like I don't get it. Like she still could have got that fight. She could have finished her. But she goes and does the exact same thing that lost her the entire round. Like it was identical. You watch the start of both rounds and it was so similar. It was not an enjoyable one to watch, that one. There was a lot of pitter patter shots, not very much ground and pound. Yeah, it wasn't very fun. And she also throws herself on bottom in the third round as well. Like that's how she gets taken down. Her game planning looked really bad, and coming in, she should have had the better striking, but she just didn't really use it. She barely struck, and then decided she was a better wrestler the whole time through, which she's not. You would think that there was a game plan change that she could have made, that, but she just didn't make it throughout the fight. Moving on, we've got Dustin Jacoby versus Bruno Lopez. I was really happy with how this one played out. I was hyped for this fight. I knew this one was going to be a fun one. The fight starts. They're both sort of tagging each other at range. It's not too quick. And then Jacoby gets tagged like twice. And then he just decides he's going to be a bull for the rest of the fight. I think he realized that Bruno Lopez doesn't have the most power, and he thought, yep, I can tank this guy's shots and I will shut him off. He knows that he's got KO power, so he just started slinging hard. You could see him; he was literally just throwing only haymakers the whole time, and he started like pushing him towards the cage, still throwing haymakers, and then he just progressively broke him down to before just brutally KOing him. Like it was like a barrage of shots that slowly brought him down, slowly knocking him out cold. It was brutal. It was actually such a nice finish. Um, and he just trusted that his chin was better than Bruno Lopez and his shots were faster and more accurate, which was true. And I did think coming into this that Bruno Lopez, he wasn't who people thought he is. He's a strong guy, but he's not got the striking speed of Dustin Jacoby. I feel like he should be getting a good matchup next. Maybe not a ranked one. I would like him to get a ranked one. I know that he didn't beat Alonzo Manyfield, but I would like him to get a ranking shot. Maybe someone just out of the rankings if they're mid, but then he's just going to sleep them. Maybe he just goes for fun fights. Not sure what's up next for him, but that was a great finish from him there, and I loved watching it. Next fight we had Billy Ray Goff versus Ramiz Brahimaj. I'm so happy I didn't predict this one. I would have definitely picked Billy Ray Goff, but Brahimaj looked good. He looked on point. He looked sharp. Goff escaped Brahimaj's back take really early, but I knew it was going to be a tough fight when he got that because Brahimaj seemed to get that quite easily. Um, and then Goff just pushes into the clinch really hard, try to get the takedown, and then pushes his head really deep into a guillotine. He tries to pull it out, somewhat gets it out, and then just goes in and digs for the takedown, same spot, pushing himself into the guillotine. Like it wasn't the best game plan there for Billy Ray Goff. Yeah, it was a really odd one. You would think he was going to pull his head out once the guillotine got put in, but I think he just thought that it was going to be pulled to bottom, but didn't end up happening like that. But it was nasty finish. It looked really, really bad, and you could tell like just before that he was like out cold just before the ref did. And I swear these refs got to do a little bit of a better like shot of like picking up these guys. Like they separate the hands, but like surely you got one arm out to catch Bro and not let have his head smack the canvas. But yeah, it was a really good quick finish, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Brahimaj does in the future. I would actually like to have seen the Oban Elliott fight a little bit more. Um, Moving on though, we've got Mateusz Gamrot versus Ludovic Klein, the real main event, which turns out I put that on my original video, I think, or said it at least in my original video, and I came to be very true. So, and I wasn't actually unhappy with this, but I would have preferred to see a 5 round fight for the main event. But fight starts off. Gamrot looked a bit restless on the feet. I thought he got dropped at the start of it. I thought that he was like literally about to get slumped by Klein. But then as soon as he connected with Klein on the feet, he did a really good job sticking with him. He got him down to his knees and he stayed higher than him, made him carry his weight. You could see it was tiring Klein out, and it definitely paid dividends for the rest of the fight. Um, the other thing that he did really well within that round, he just like didn't let Klein have much space, which was really effective. Not letting Klein get off at all, find his striking at all. Even though Gamrot didn't look amazing on the feet, he looked like the slower striker out there. He was able to stay somewhat ahead because he never got to give Klein his timing. Um, round two, I think it was. Gamrot instantly got the takedown straight away, and then he did pitter patter shots for about 2 minutes into that round. That would have given him so much confidence. Klein, I don't think. I think I overestimated his like scrambling ability. I did pick Gamrot to win this one, sorry, but I did think Klein was going to be a bit more active off bottom and try to get up a little bit more, maybe do some more like sweeps and reversals, maybe go for more rolls. Like I thought he wasn't going to get stuck down and held in position for as long as he did. I thought he was going to be a fast scrambler. Like I know I saw this. I think it was like a 92% takedown defense, and I sort of thought, yeah, that seems about right. And I thought that he was going to be able to keep that sort of success rate against Gamrot, but not really. I thought he was going to get out like paced in the striking even against Gamrot, but he was able to get taken down, which I was surprised about. But about 2 minutes 30 into the round, Gamrot started getting some nice ground and pound going. He was getting some good elbows. He was getting some long right hands. It was really good. It was still through the garden, a little bit of stack, but it was nice. I like the look of Gamron in round two. I had him two up going into round three. Round three looked good. Good striking at the start of the round for both. There was a head kick for Gamrot. He almost shot into a guillotine and then shot directly into a knee, which made him not want to shoot for another like 2 minutes. And within that 2 minutes, we could have seen Klein like really pick up and actually try and get a finish or just try and do something on the feet. And he started to do well for a minute or so, maybe winning back that round, and then he just sort of you can see the moment when all of the tiredness comes to his face. Like you can see where he just checks out almost. Like he knows he's not got enough time to finish Gamrot. Gamrot doesn't look as tired. He does look a little bit tired, but not as tired as Klein looked. And then at about 1 minute 30 left of the round, Gamrot was able to just get that takedown and just holds him on bottom for about a minute, does some pitter patter shots, and then the last 20 seconds rains down some ground and pound. And it was a good fight. It was decent. I thought that Klein was going to have more success. I think it was a 30-27 for Gamrot, which it definitely should have been. Um, I think Klein, the matchmaking for him was stupid. I'm somewhat annoyed at the matchmaking for him because I think if you give this guy Benoit Saint-Denis, I think he beats Benoit. Like, I don't think Benoit, like, it's just a stupid match-made fight. Like, Grant Dawson, give him. Like, give him Ignacio Bahamondes. Like, give him someone that's not Gamrot. Gamrot should be getting someone who is already in the top 15. Like stupid matchmaking. Give Klein a chance to get into the rankings at least, not just throw him against Gamrot. I know that some people were saying it's like a super even fight, but like it's just Gamrot's he's a little bit more tested. He's versed a lot better guys in the UFC. Klein should at least verse a couple of like really high quality opponents, like one top 15 opponent who's like 10 to 15 range. Like even though they would never do it. A Chandler versus Klein, I think Klein's like absolutely smoking Chandler. So hopefully they match him up with someone maybe just out of the top 15 for lightweight, maybe an easy one to make him look good and then throw him back into the rankings. Or even just throw him a hard one just outside the rankings, see where he stacks up. Such a shame. I wish they gave him a better opponent. But moving on to the main event, that literally didn't happen. Blanchfield versus Barber. This was shocking that this actually didn't occur. Like I've not seen this happen this close to a fight. Obviously I've seen it a couple of times where people have pulled out on the same event. Like it happened, I think it was last event with Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. But this was literally minutes before the fight. I've heard it was a seizure. I think Aaron Blanchfield said that in an interview whilst they were about to go out in the octagon. But I'm not going to say that it's unprofessional like Erin Blanchfield that she got a seizure, but I think it's unprofessional to go into a fight that unhealthy. Like, you can see in the bottom right of the screen that she's super lean in the flippin', sorry for swearing, in the like in her weight cut. She looked terrible. She didn't look good at all. She missed weight, and then pulling out that close to the event, like, at least pull out in the morning, pull out overnight, like, pull out when you're missing weight. Like, it's just a bit bad. Like, it's not a good look for her, and I hope that the UFC, even though Armin definitely just missed weight and pulled out, I hope the UFC somewhat give her that Armin treatment. I want to, like, I know people are going to slander me and be like, no, she had a seizure. Like, you literally can't say that. If you're that unhealthy to where you're going to have a seizure before stepping into the octagon, you can't be put in main event fights. Like, we saw that with Hamza Chimaev. Like, they didn't put him in a main event, or they didn't put him in that sort of position after he pulled out against Nate Diaz. And that was like a few days before. This is on the day of. Like, you got to be able to trust your athletes to know their body. And 3, 4 days out, when they're on track to missing weight, not feeling good, they pull out then, because then they can make other arrangements for the card. They can stop promoting it, stop spending the money. I know John Anik always says that that it's about the money that they spend promoting it, but at least then they could have promoted Gamrot to the main event. They could have moved the fights, like, change their pay per view slot, not pay per view slot, change their ESPN slot. Like, there's many things that they could have done if they could have even got this fight off the card yesterday. So I hope they somewhat shaft her, give her like a 5 to 10 ranked opponent, make her fight 2 more times before the title. I'm not saying kick her out the rankings, boot her out the UFC. Like, no, she's 2 wins away, but she shouldn't be 1 win away after this. You can't have someone who's just pulled out in a main event of a fight night, fighting in a main event of a pay-per-view card. Like, you can't do that if she's just pulled out. So, disappointed with this one. I thought it was going to be somewhat okay of a 5 round fight, and I was excited to see a 5 round fight, a ending to the main event. So, disappointed. We all would be. Maybe we're not. Actually, I've heard a lot of people aren't disappointed with this, but hopefully we get to see Blanchfield fight somewhat soon in the future. Shame about that. I'll pull up stumps there. Thanks for watching, guys. Like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the card. Is this card worse than the I vs Calvillo card? I think yes. I think there's less. There was only 8 fights on the card, more cancellations. The main event fight literally didn't even happen. This is like if I versus Calvillo, the main event, got cancelled. So, and even though there was somewhat more names on that card, like, there was better people on the card. So I think this is the worst card of all time. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Peace.